With the Gen Zs and the millennials splurging on the luxury market. What do you have to say about quiet luxury?
It's always been a choice. It's always happened. It's just that we've given a name to it. I mean, our Maharajas.
We've had luxury, we built quiet.
Ownership versus experience.
I would say I would look forward to experiencing in the future would be a really nice.
How have millennials and Gen Zs redefined the concept of luxury?
The Gen Z and the millennials are far more aware of the brands.
What are the top 3 skills you believe will define a successful professional in the luxury industry? The top 3 skills. In fact, I think any one of you all can take it up.
I mean, like you said earlier, I think Avalet mentioned soft skills for sure, grooming, presentation. It's normally not spoken about so much, but I think it is very important, especially when you have an interface in kind of, the luxury world now with malls and other things growing. I would think that is something that one should look at.
Luxury professional, the first thing is how you present yourself. You have to be confident because what you're selling is what you should show. You can't be tacky. I'm from the media industry and we look after luxury. And our boss used to say, always have a jacket. These days, being casual is ill. But really, the other day also I was talking to someone who sells luxury watches, and he was like, what is this? If you're selling a watch that is over 1 crore, you can't dress up like that. You have to show what you're selling, that you're capable of making that sale. So be presentable, be confident, and knowledge. You should know your product well. These are the 3 mandatory skills, according to me.
I think you also need to be adaptable, to various situations. You need to be agile and, like, ma'am mentioned, definitely confidence. Because if you're confident, you can sell sand in the desert. So, yeah.
Absolutely. How have millennials and Gen Zs redefined the concept of luxury compared to the previous generations?
I don't know if millennials and Gen Z have redefined the concept of luxury. I think luxury is evolving and luxury has evolved. I mean, if you look at things historically, it's evolved over time, right? Because, everything was different, from communication to transport to how goods reached to different destinations, how things were sold, how things were consumed, the value that was put on them. So I don't think millennials and Gen Z would necessarily define the course of luxury, but I think luxury will respond to the new buyer or the new consumer.
Yes.
And I think that will be ever evolving. Everything is now going to start having an impact, right, on how you consume, but also what you create for the consumers. So
absolutely,
it's all hand in glove. It has to go together.
Basically, I think the Gen Z and the millennials are far more aware of the brands. We sort of, when they started coming into India, there were people who were aware, who were traveling abroad, etc. But in schools, they know about our brands and they vouch for them. They want their parents to get them a Chanel. They don't care about the cost. It's just part of how they are being brought up. They're to these schools where the children are talking about Jordans, wearing Jordans at school, carrying LV bags. So the demands are pretty much there.
They're sitting there, and for her, luxury is that Louboutin she's got on her bag, and here's his match attacks cards, which is their luxury. So it is evolving and it is changing. It evolves as you grow also as a person with age. Now I'm moving to more quiet luxury. I wasn't that 10 years ago. So I think it's always evolving, changing with generations. It's never static.
True, absolutely.
I think the pace at which information is now available, or the ease, I would say. Just yesterday I was talking to the students and I said, growing up in the 90s, our first internet connections. I mean, they don't even know what kind of internet speed we had. It's unbelievable. Like, or how
We didn't have.
we do that. Or like today, for example, in this room, there would be 500 devices that are already connected to the internet. Back then, there was if you were lucky in your house, you had a computer which had a modem or a phone line, and you had to make sure your parents weren't using the phone so that you could dial up.
You had access to yes, the dial-up thing.
And then go to a website which was just static, just images that took minutes to load. Whereas today, it's on everyone's fingertip.
About the battle between heritage and the battle between preserving this heritage with the Gen Zs. So how do you think the luxury brands that are heritage brands can preserve their heritage when it comes to Gen Z being their customers?
For one, obviously, heritage is very important to weave into any story when you're selling luxury. I think with Gen Z, it's about making them feel more inclusive. So having sort of like a culture club that allows them to feel closer and nearer the brand. I think that's one. I think also the way you tell a story and the way you're trained to tell a story. So, for example, everyone in the company. So for someone who's handling social media, to someone who's on the shop floor, to someone who's the cashier behind the till who's going to hand over the final bag worth lakhs to the client, they all need to know the story and they all need to tell it with the same passion. And that thread needs to, run through.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, my name is Manan and I represent Zoya. I think you already sold it to your latest. So, we started Zoya in 2008. And, having heritage we didn't have anything, right? But then we lent ourselves and took leverage from the Tara Group and started narrating that story, which became irrelevant for us as we traveled. And like I think Priya said, the brand itself has gone through so many phases within its 15-year journey that today we are reviving or re-narrating a story or redeveloping it as we speak. Because the world has changed, our consumer has changed, right? So as much as we may seem so experienced about it, but we are so naive as we enter into the new phase of this brand, right? I remember we looking at brands, and I remember a slide that we built and we were at the LD office in Paris, and the gentleman presented 4 or 5 brands that they built and they planted around 50 years ago. Right? They're doing that as we speak today for the next 20, 30 years. And he's built a tree that says the next billion. And there are 3 brands in those next billion. And none of us know those brands. I'll tell you those. I don't know how to pronounce 2 of them of those 3. Right? Then he took us to the shop floor and he let us be there. And we realized that guy was living the story that he was telling us, like Anjali said. It was magical, And this begs me to the first question that you asked, what are the skills needed? And my YouTube feed has Erin Brockovich, the film, and a conversation with Madhu Kela. There are 2 films I was watching yesterday, and my common thing that came out of both those is perseverance. In the film, she's persevered through the tough life that she went through. And as an investor, he himself has seen so many ups and downs. You do not give up, right? You persevere because luxury is about being consistent through your lowest, because that's when brands fall in the pit, because they cannot just pull themselves off. And likewise, when you build your career, I think you need to be able to clearly objectify of what you're out there to achieve, because there's so much out there and there's so much noise. To filter through and to be able to build your career is, I think, very critical. Articulation is not achievement, right?
And how are brands actually navigating this particular tension?
Anything that becomes common becomes a commodity eventually, right? So if you're not going to add value and go deep into, persevere again, go deep at the death end, you'll not realize. And so funny, that is the most expensive medium, by the way. Okay, we get fooled to think that is the easiest medium, but I'll tell you, we're not converting more than 6% of the people that inquire us. Okay, so a Carrick Lane doesn't convert more than 1 or 2%, right?
I will also assume.
So your funnels need to be. It's a long subject by itself, but it's also Roman candle that will very beautiful and easy to capture, but you've seen so many deaths happen on social media of res.
Absolutely.
Okay, look at influencer economy, right? Of where it's where it is and how it's going. People really kill themselves faster in trying to achieve something quicker. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
I think also with social media, I think that's one tool. I don't think it's the tool. And I think a lot of sort of emphasis is put on social media. I think you need it. And if we're talking about Instagram specifically, sure, it's a means of communicating your brand. But if you overexpose something that shouldn't be, it's going to get totally diluted and its value does get lost. There are brands out there who completely delete their feed and restart it every couple of months, if not years. And that's super important as well. I think there is something to be said for mystique. So if you are out on social media, be prepared. You do need to have some level of mystery, exploration and discovery. And I think with luxury brands, luxury is also so sort of fast. There's consumption, then there's the experiences, there's the actual products, there's the production. There's so much to it. But I think social media is a very tricky one. And also there's agility because, yes, Instagram is relevant today, wasn't some years ago, and it may go tomorrow. So influencers that built their careers, now if we look at sort of influencers, some then built their careers on social media. It was a very specific job and it may not be there tomorrow. True. So you have to also be able to be agile and kind of navigate, and it's going to get faster, and with AI and new inventions are going to come in. So brands are going to constantly have to navigate that. But yeah, I think there is that sort of danger of overexposure with social media.
Right. I think Sweta Ma'am wants to. I just wanted to add, though, what both of you said resonates completely. And you've taken a lot of things out of my mouth. It is interesting. It is very challenging because legacy, heritage, beauty, experience, that's what these luxury brands thrive on. So that's why, like Manan said, a lot of deaths have happened. And a lot of them are sort of trying to revive themselves because it is not a brick and mortar store experience anymore. Although, yes, it's exposure. It's good for brands to show. Some people do buy online as well. But mostly luxury is about experience. So you want to go touch, feel. If I'm spending that kind of money on something, I would, want to see how it looks on me. I would like to experience it. I would like to go through the entire experiencing of, being in that beautiful space. So you can't take all those things. In fact, though I may be digressing a little, it's the same thing between Kindle and books. Yeah. Unfortunately, reading is dying, but then in today's times, it's a luxury, because most of the times we are on our phone, we get everything, the world. You don't even need to carry a purse with you when you have your phone, with your Paytm, etc. But that feel, smell of paper, I think if you haven't started, please start reading some books. You just love the experience.
Going further from there, when at some point I work with Hello Magazine, which is now part of the India Today group. And at some point in the journey of 17 years, there was a point that we had a whole, assembly like this saying, print is dead. What are you going to do? And, we all were scared and, it was a kind of shock that came. But proud to say that Hello is still in print, and it's been 18 years, and each issue is a handheld print copy. So I think everything, it's evolved. Yes, there's a digital presence, there's social media, but things that are your crux and your foundation, they don't need to die for something else to be built.
It's not the same as reading a magazine when you go online. That whole experience has to be felt. You imbibe more. Also, everybody here, reading allows you to think. It builds your brain. Don't give that up.
And the batch 3, the semester 3 students just completed 15 invaluable laws of growth. So they keep getting such assignments to read books. I remember I had a teacher who told me, you don't want to read, just keep the book, at your bedside and it will transform its energy to you. What do you have to say about quiet luxury? I don't think it resonates much with Gen Z, but
Yeah, because they're beginning. When you, if they have to make that statement, right? But when you sort of evolve with luxury, then you don't want the LV motive to be flashing. I'm using an LV. I'm using an LV. So that's what quiet luxury is about. There's still a lot of brands that don't even advertise, like Peras. There are so many brands that a lot of people here may not even know about them because they're not in India also. That's another factor. But yes, quiet luxury, you grow with it. So it's wonderful, but it's a personal choice.
Because you'd be surprised. Yesterday in class, while speaking about luxury mindset, there was a thing about quiet luxury in the slide. I just asked the class, I said, who's heard of Loro Piana or Brunello Cucinelli? And almost half the class put their hands up. And I was amazed because I had not heard of it until maybe a few years ago. And no one had used this word quiet luxury, I think, till post-COVID. I think pre-COVID, not heard of it. I think luxury was just assumed to be logos, in your face, loud, flashy. But I think there's also, again, coming to evolution, right? I think the luxury buyer is evolving so fast that they're moving from loud logos to quiet, subtle. Then you become part of this exclusive club that only those people who are in it can recognize. So
absolutely.
That's I think a flex, if I may use a Gen Z word, in itself.
Exactly.
I think quiet luxuries, it's not only about purchasing of, say, a product, but it's also experiential, right? Today, the hotels that you will go and stay at, whether it's a 5 or a 7-star, you're going to them because they're giving you an experience of something extremely unique. So it could be a hotel, again, that's very limited, not sort of 100 hotels all across, but it could be 5 across the world. But what is it that they're giving you, which is quiet luxury? And that's what you go back for also.
I think both are different means of communication and self-expression. I think when you're a certain age, you need the brands, and why not have the brands? And I think, consumption is going to keep those brands alive. So you need to have the consumers of the logos and the more visible luxury, and you need the quiet luxury as well, because like everyone said, through evolution, you're going to eventually get to quiet luxury. And I think there's a time and place for everything. Neither is going to go and neither is going to become redundant. And I think that's just the journey of the consumer.
Absolutely.
And quiet luxury has its own place. There's the ultra quiet, where people, you don't even know about it. It's, it's at a level where it's irrelevant to most of us. It's the absolute sort of pinnacle, smallest clubs and groups. But for everybody else, there's quiet luxury with the brands, and both are important.
Absolutely
important.
Totally, I don't think that quiet luxury is something that's come about right now. It's always been there. We just coined the term quiet luxury, like you said, post-COVID. It's always been a choice. It's always happened. It's just that we've given a name to it.
Actually, if you look at India, I think quiet luxury is always forever.
I mean, our Maharajas, Khaled sector.
Absolutely.
We've had luxury, we've been quiet.
So I think we are a very good example of quiet luxury. And yes, absolutely. I think it is a matter of choice and evolution where you get to and what you really want to own. That brings me to the next question, ownership versus experience. So I think Gen Z today, they are not really too much inclined towards ownership, but more inclined towards experience. So I think we should ask the Gen Z, what sort of experiences, what sort of luxury experiences would you like to have in your life, or you would like to, like I say, invest in? Anyone can raise your hand and I'll come with the mic.
I would say I would look forward to experiencing in the future would be a really nice luxury cruise. Like a 3 tours or something.
Great. That's nice.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, please.
Okay, so one luxury experience I would like to invest in is the automobile, because I'm really passionate about automobiles.
So maybe we can just give them a gist about what circular economy is and then impart our opinions on it. And I think that would be the last question for the panel.
Yeah, keeping it quite minimal, basically. So yeah, we live together and she's obsessed about being sustainable. So we try and use, bamboo toothbrush, for example, in all our sinks, on the tap. We have that little puzzle, which is when you have to save water, we reuse all the gifting paper that we get. So we try, obviously, in our own little way. It's not, but I think if each of us in this room, try to be a little bit more sustainable and just do a few things right, I think it could go a long way. Because otherwise, if everyone says, "Arey yaar, leave it, kuch nahi hoga," if I just, if I do this. No, it's not true. It is. It does sort of overall in the larger picture help. I try and tell my parents a lot, do not buy Amazon packages because it comes with so much paper and plastics. But then that's again another separate topic. But yeah.
Sustainability is very important. So everybody here, if you listen to what the Premiership, then please definitely look at that. Is it your buzzword because of the kind of world that we're living in? We have tortured mothers, and I'm sorry I'm maybe sounding philosophical here, but we need to treat it with love and care now. It's hurt badly, and that's what's happening in the world. Everybody knows. In fact, India today now, in September, we're having a conclave called the Sustainability Conflict, where we'll be discussing all this. And all companies today are into sustainability mostly. They have the ESG wings where everybody is trying to become sustainable, lesser waste, give back to society. Everything is embroiled in that. So yeah, it's a huge topic like you mentioned. So.
I should be the last one in this panel to speak on this because this product is, we can keep debating about it, doctor. But to give you a sense, India today that consumes Tanishq, 40% of it is exchange. 40% of $7 billion is exchange. Okay. It tells you a lot about many things. Our office in Bangalore, in Titan, has no air conditioning. The entire campus. It's on a river that the company has taken over from the government, and they've cleaned it. It was a dirty river. It's actually one of the most fabulous campuses in India. In fact, the Google and the Apple guys who came here thought that it was better, but I think it was just being kind. But I think that's one. The materials that have been used of this thing were ensured that they were within a 500-kilometer radius to avoid fuel consumption. The materials itself are also organic in some form. It's a massive campus that houses around 8,000 to 9,000 people. There are no computers in that office connected. It's only laptops. So there's a lot of uses. Cumulatively, the campus is saving 56 to 70% energy versus our previous campus. That's a large listing. And I did the entire, you can look up on YouTube, and if you all had the right offices, a visit is possible. It's a fabulous visit because it's a 1-hour walk through the entire thing. At the top is green, and everywhere there are 2 sides open. It's a designing marvel. I mean, I think it's not spoken as much, but it's amazingly good.
Just something at the end, I feel that, luxury, I think for all of us in this room, the real luxury is our health, and taking on from what you said, look after the earth, look after your surroundings, and that is when you're truly wealthy. And I think, that.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes.
But this is so good, going over your curriculum, etc. I really wish there was something like this for me to have got. I feel like going back to school, by the way, huh?
Great. So I think all our panelists, they need a huge round of applause for sharing their insight on the questions that I kept throwing at them. Thank you so much.